It's time to party when it's talk about you. She's a bad damn pajama, just as fine as she can be. Hey, she's a bad damn pajama, just as.
Welcome back to Blaze Her Trail, the space where powerful women tell the truth, share their hearts, and leave the fluff at the door. I'm your host, Dr. Mia, alongside the radiant and insightful
Ania Joy.
And today's episode is a gift. I want you to lean in, take a deep breath, and prepare to be inspired. Our guest today, she's the kind of woman who walks into the room and shifts the atmosphere. Dr. Kellye Hall is more than just a name, she's a movement. A powerhouse physician, a proud HBCU trailblazer, a wife, a mom, a two-time best-selling author, and a full-out dancer, y'all. Yes, she went from saving lives in the ER to showing women how to save themselves, mind, body, and soul. And throughout it all, she stayed rooted in her purpose, in faith, and in rhythm. Because when God sets the pace, you never miss a beat. So grab your tea, your journal, and your favorite glass of wine, whatever you need to get comfortable. We're going deep today. This is more than a conversation. This is medicine for the soul. Our topic today is start up or shut up, what they don't tell us about entrepreneurship. So let's welcome Dr. Kellye Hall to Blaze Her Trail podcast. Woo!
Hey, in here.
We are so glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. It's been a minute since we said we were going to do this.
Yes, it has been me since season 1, but I'm glad we finally got your schedule right and you were able to participate and come on and share some word and help other women, empower other women, whether they're here in Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, California, whoever's listening. This is for you today. So I've known Kellye for about how long I've been out of college?
I know, I'm like, is it about 20 something years?
Yeah, about 20 some years. We still look young though. Look at that. Look at that. We're age.
She cute.
So we're gonna jump into the questions today, just to learn a little bit more about you. But we want to talk about what was your breaking point, whether it's from the ER to now. When did you say this ain't cute no more? I'm about to shut this whole thing down and start something new. What was that? When did you get that feeling?
COVID.
Okay.
2021. I had actually, so I was already partnering with NC Dance District and actually took over ownership for a while, and then we kind of switched back to a partnership. But I had one foot in the door, one foot out the door in 2019, 2020. So formed the partnership in 2020, was still doing both medicine and the dance studio. And then COVID hit and people lost their entire minds and thought they knew more than medical providers who had been doing this their entire lives.
Right.
And started just telling us what to do, or that we didn't know what we were doing, or that, basically COVID wasn't real, that it didn't exist. And at that point, I said, you know what? Save yourselves. I'm out. We're going to do this dance thing full time. And I have jumped back into medicine. So we did that briefly, but I'm going to jump back out once again at some point.
So what are you doing now since you're not in the ER? I know you're occupational medicine.
I am.
So tell us about the day in with that. How are you balancing, occupational medicine versus the dance studio?
Versus being a mom, versus being a wife.
All of that.
So all the things. It's a lot. I do not, I'm not at the studio every day like I once used to be. Hence the reason I had to allow my business partner to kind of take back over ownership. But I am there about 2 or 3 times a week. So I work 5 days a week, 1 week, 4 days a week, the next week. I'm the medical director of this center. And so it's either 7:30 to 4:30, 8:30 to 5:30, or 9 to close. And we close at 5, but if you walk in the door at 4:59, we still have to see you. Which, by the way, people don't do that. As rude as
Yes,
hell.
that is very
We
rude.
don't like
That
it
is so rude.
because then I got to stay with you until we're done, and it is mean and disrespectful.
Yes.
But either way, so some days I will go to the studio, maybe straight after the clinic, or I may come home, eat with the girls and husband, and then go to the studio.
Okay.
But the classes are typically 7 and 8 o'clock, so I will take 1 or 2 dance classes. Lately, it's been one because, man, I'm getting old and tired and sleepy. So my ability to focus is not where it used to be. But either way, I will stay there until about 8:30, 9:30, 10, just kind of depending on what kind of day I'm having and who I'm talking to, because you get sucked into the studio and can't leave in a
Yeah,
good
I
way.
feel you.
But then have to come home, and the girls, they don't sleep. Well, that's my fault because I danced with them all the way up to delivery, so they can't
Okay.
help but
So they don't know how
dance
to
and
sit
like,
down. Yeah.
no, they don't. And they love to dance. And I mean, they're talkers and they're just busy. And so they don't go to bed till about 9:30 or 10. And so then I have to wait till they calm down first before then I can finally have some quiet. And I probably go to sleep around 11 or 12 every
Okay.
night. And, I get up anywhere from like 5 a.m. to
Ooh.
7 a.m., just depending on, yeah, yeah.
See, if you can do it, I can do it. Yes.
You can do it. Especially because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I am 46 years old, about to be 47. So it's a
It's the
struggle,
balance. It's
but
Yeah.
the balance you got to do.
caffeine
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah. It
Understandable.
is. So speaking of
Caffeine is
like
everything.
entrepreneurship, and I know like we're in a society of like the internet and like all of these resources for like career, what is a good success story, like, but what is the ugly truth that they don't put on LinkedIn? Like, let's talk about debt, disappointment, and the dry seasons, because I feel like people don't really normalize like having a dry season and everything that they're doing with their businesses.
So the studio, NC Dance District, has been in existence since 2011, 2012, and I partnered at the end of 2019. We moved into a whole new building with new rent, and COVID happened. Everything boils down to COVID. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things shifted during
So
COVID.
a lot of things shifted during COVID. So we had all these aspirations of how we're going to grow the studio, and guess what? We can't even be open for 6 months. What you mean, Jesus? You called me out here, and then you gonna shut me down.
Yeah.
You're gonna shut the whole world down. So luckily, still a physician. So
Yeah.
I was able to actually take out physician loans
Oh,
because they don't
nice.
ask you what you're using it for. And we did get a small business loan from the SBA. And so that kept us alive until we could actually get back in studio. But it took another 2 years before we got back to where we were pre-COVID because the pandemic was still out there.
Okay.
So what they don't tell you is that anything could happen, and what are you going to do when it happens?
Right. You got to have a contingency plan. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no one ever saw that happening. We never saw not being able to be in a studio and not be able to congregate with people. Like, who ever imagined that would happen?
So when did y'all fully start back up? So if you shut down, 2020? When did y'all fully start back up?
So we had opened up the new location January 20th, actually, 2020. And then we had to shut down up until we started having outdoor classes for free once, they let everybody outside again. And that was just kind of a way, because people weren't comfortable coming inside yet,
Of course.
even when we were allowed to come inside.
Right.
So we did outdoor classes for a while. We did them for free because, the economy was crap at that point. And so we were kind of like giving back. And, that was our thing, to be like, okay, new location, new crowd, come on out. And then we got to go inside in September, but still could only congregate inside with about 10 people until, however long that was. So we weren't fully open until probably the end of 2021 to where we could like max out the classes.
Okay,
So that
makes
was
sense.
fun
Do
because
you
we
feel
had
like
gotten this gigantic building so multiple people could congregate and we couldn't congregate.
during that time, like, you were disappointed? Like, what were your feelings like while all of that was going on? Like, how were you able to navigate that?
Um, I There were a lot of emotions, but because I was still working as a physician,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, for me, it seemed like life continued to go on, but in a different way. So
Mm.
while everybody else was taking a break from life, I was not. I was
Yeah.
always essential. I was
Right.
still out there every day. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a break. So on the one hand, the medical side of me has never shut down. And so I guess on the one hand, that was good because then it kind of kept me from focusing on the fact that your business is imploding because no
Right.
one can come and partake of your services.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're a service-based organization, it's like we can't provide our service, so what do we do?
Right. 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 Right.
So there were a lot of emotions that I couldn't even really process because I didn't have the time to process because we were in a whole pandemic and nobody knew what was happening. So there were just all sorts of different things going on internally, externally, and I was just like, okay, Jesus, what are we doing? It was prayer and faith,
Yeah,
and
that's all you
that
got
is
at that
what got
point.
me through
I
every
agree.
day.
I agree. Well, since we're talking about prayer of faith, I know you're gonna be honest, so just give it to
I
me.
don't know how to be any other way.
Right. Has there ever been a time where you felt like I'm faking my confidence right now, whether it was in the ER as a physician, whether it's a owner now of NC District, Dance District, like did you ever feel like who told me I could do this? Like have you ever questioned that?
Every day.
Okay.
Um, I mean, we'll take it back even to the marching band, first
Yep.
female drum major.
Oh, hold up!
Like,
Before you get in there,
wow.
you got to tell them. Now, that's one thing I forgot to tell you, Joy. When I said she was
Oh,
an
you ain't
HBCU
know.
trailblazer, I forgot to tell you because we both are Aggies. We went to North Carolina A&T State University, but I
Like,
was
what?
admired to go there because of this lady when I saw her at one game when I was in high school. So before we get into the confidence part, go ahead and tell them a little bit about you being a trailblazer.
Well, unbeknownst to me, I so my mom and my dad both went to A&T. My dad was in the marching band and he played saxophone, so that's why I played the saxophone because I wanted to be like my dad. And so I grew up watching the Blue and Gold Marching Machine, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew from early on that I was going to A&T. I was going to march in the band, and at some point when I saw the amazing Anthony Chris, one of the greatest drum majors of all
Mm-hmm.
time, my mentor, I said, "Oh, I have got to be drum major." And was drum major my junior and senior year in high school, and then got to A&T. And in high school, you see male and female drum majors all the time.
Right. You
It's
see
not a
them
big
all the
thing.
time. Yep.
Um, it did not really occur to me that there are not many female drum majors in HBCUs because it just wasn't a thought. Like it never occurred to me. And my sophomore year, the last game of the season was South Carolina State, and they had a female drum major. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was in the band sorority at the time, and we were kind of messing around with Dr. Hyde. She was the band director at the time. And I was like, Doc, when are we going to get a female drum major? South Carolina State got one. Not knowing that there was never a female drum major. I just thought it wasn't a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, Dr. Hodge, like we were mid joke, he was sitting there laughing and he got the most serious face and said, never as long as I'm band director. And I'm like, what are you saying, sir? So, I mean, I know he was serious too, because what Doc says, like, that's it. So I was like, okay, well, guess that's not going to happen. But, still love the band, still part of the band
Mm-hmm.
sorority. And then junior year, Dr. Kenneth Ruff, he was Kenny back in the day, but he's Dr. Ruff now. First day of band camp, we're lining up to go to the practice field. We're at attention in the back with the saxophones. Dr. Ruff comes and grabs my saxophone, and grabs my arm and drags me to the front of the band and says, "Give my drum major some competition." And I'm like, "Let's go. Okay. You ain't said nothing, sir. Let's go." I mean, I've been watching the band forever, so
Since
I
a little
could
girl,
Yeah.
yep.
imitate. Can you go in your own room, in your closet, in the
Yep.
bathroom?
You be
You sitting there
practicing.
imitating what you see. So
Yep.
I was already imitating Mr. Anthony Chris, and he allowed me to come on the track with him when I was in high school and dance
Okay.
with him. So like for me, that was like, let's go. And then later on in band camp, I was told that, "Hey, you're the first female drum major of our band." And I was like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Yeah, you are." And so then it was like, "Well, was she really?" So then it was trying to figure out, well, does anyone recall a female drum major? And then finally, everyone realized, okay, no, you are the
You
first.
are the first. That's
And
good.
yeah, and so that is my claim to fame. And he is a legend to this day.
You're
Other
so
people
silly.
say it. I would not proclaim legend up until probably 15 years after I had marched.
Yep.
I was like, I
Yep.
mean, I just wanted to be drum major. I didn't realize
Yeah.
I was, doing anything special.
Yep. You set your mind to it and you did it. So
I did.
so that
There it
just so
is.
that
I
brings
always do.
back exactly. So that confidence piece, even though I know the original question was have you ever fake confidence, but in that moment of saying I'm gonna do this, you had mad confidence when nobody else knew about your confidence, right? So
Right.
since then,
So
have you ever
then,
fake confidence? Right.
so then, we all college was great.
Right.
Everyone loved me, and she's the big woman on campus. And then
Right.
get to medical school, and then suddenly I am here with a bunch of geniuses, and I'm
Yep.
like, oh, dang, they real
Yeah.
smart. Like they way smarter than me.
Right. It
And
brought you down a
so
little
Yes.
bit.
on stage, she went from a big fish in a little pond to doggone it. Is there a fish in the pond? Okay,
Right.
Right.
like
So
because at this point,
that's good that you brought that up. Like like have you ever, like, when you're around like other people that have the same intelligence as you, do you, like, has there ever been a point where they maybe have like made you feel upset, and like after like your meetings or after like being around them, like they just made you like you just had to go somewhere to cry, like after just hearing bad news, after just not being inspired by, and whatever season of life that you were in, like, because I feel like people don't normalize like experiencing a breakthrough
Yep.
before, like,
The success. and
yeah, the
everything.
success, yeah.
You do cry before you get there.
um, yeah, I mean when you go from everyone knowing your name and everyone admiring you, and
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly, go from I've been in black schools my entire life. I grew up in majority black county.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been a thing. And then I was never really the minority because the minorities were everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
then go to a PWI for medical school, and suddenly I am out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Have white classmates and everything. So that wasn't a thing. It was just the fact that I wasn't around a bunch of people who supported me and tried to make sure I was good, and
Yeah.
even, looked up to me and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. I mean, I was leading the curve in college, and then get to medical school and about fall off the curve. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, how do you go from here to here? And I never was here because I was always an
Mm-hmm.
overachiever, even in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
may not have been the top, but I was in the top percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Did it
And
make you
so
uncomfortable?
every day, residency, medical school wasn't as bad. Residency, where it's like the attendings are the doctors
Mm-hmm.
that are teaching you
Mm-hmm.
essentially. It seemed like some of them, there was like a percentage of them that tried to make you look stupid every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I mean, for people in sororities and fraternities, you're going to feel me. It felt like I was online for 3 years. I
Oh.
mean, sleep deprivation and everything, because we were on call at times. And so I might be up for 30 hours.
Right.
And then we have to do like these rounds where you're in a group of like 20 people and the attending is asking you questions and you haven't slept. So not only do I not know the answer, but even if I did know the answer, I haven't slept. So now I can't
Mentally
spit
not
out the
there.
answer
Yep.
because my brain doesn't function, because at that point you are operating legally drunk. It's been proven that if you are up for 30 hours, it's like your blood alcohol level is a point 0.8, which is 0.08, which is, over the limit.
Right.
And so every day was a struggle. Every day I wanted to quit. Every day I wanted to be like, why? Why, Lord, did you put me here? Because
Right.
this was a dream since the age of 2. So that's all I was ever going to do. Even though I was an athlete, a musician, a dancer, I was always going to be a doctor. And at that point, I was like, well, shoot, I'm too far in now. I've graduated
Yep.
medical school, and I don't know what else to do. I'm not qualified to do anything else, which sounds crazy, but I'm only qualified to be a doctor. And all these people are smarter than me, and not everybody's smarter than you. I mean, there were other people that were struggling too, but to go from trying to be the best to just trying to pass, that was
Yeah.
never a
That's
thing
a
for
struggle.
me.
Yeah.
So every day was like faking it. Every day was like, okay, act like you fit in with everybody else. Act like you know what you're talking about until you figure it out.
That's what you got to
That's
do.
how I lived through 3
Yeah.
years.
I can see that. Sometimes I do that in my day job. I'm like, okay, let me just figure. Even being a professor, I'm like, I don't really know this topic, but I'm gonna wing it and make it sound good. It's gonna relate some type of way.
Yeah.
So,
Everyone has a little bit of imposter syndrome at
yeah.
some point in their life to where you're like, am I really as good as everybody else sees me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I am. But and at that point it's literally just relying on faith and be like, okay, well, you don't want to look stupid, so pull something out your behind. Make
Yeah.
something sound smart.
Yep. You will pull it out because I know sometimes I be wondering in my head, do my students really believe what I'm saying? 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't really believe what
Oh,
I'm
I am
saying.
very convincing. Like, I mean, in medicine, especially when you deal with people sometimes that don't really want to get better or don't like really
Mm-hmm.
want to hear what you have to say, have their
Non-compliant
own
patients.
preconceived notions.
Yes.
It's just like, so like, oh, okay. And I can read it real easily and like, oh, so whatever I say, they ain't gonna believe it or they're not gonna do it anyway. So then I'm just like, okay, cool. Well, I can just say anything, whatever I got to say to get you out of my face and
Right.
on to the next patient. At this point, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Don't even matter if it's real or not. It's like, this is what I need to do to get you out of my face. Okay, cool.
Right.
Sorry. That's
Right.
what we do as physicians, guys, just so you know.
Yes, because I don't like non-compliant patients. I'm in the medical field too, so
Oh, are you?
yeah,
What do you
I'm
do?
yeah. So I'm currently in medical assistant school right now, and then I'm getting enrolled into nursing school. Yeah,
Oh, child, yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Welcome. Hmm.
yeah.
And this day and age, it's like they don't listen to medical providers. Like nobody. If you can read Google, apparently you're
Oh
qualified to
yes.
be a
Yes.
physician, a physician
Google
assistant, a
medicine.
nurse, a nurse practitioner. I just be like, I'm sorry. Where did you get your degree? School me. Tell me what to do then. Can you write your own prescription?
Yeah.
No. That's why you're here.
Kelly is
That's
so
just me being a little bitter. I'm sorry. I'm a little extra.
It's okay. This is your time to vent. We talked about this from the beginning. You sharing
Yeah.
your heart. So you sharing how you feel. How good, bad, ugly, in between, whatever it may be. So
Yeah.
we talk about the grind, and I'm gonna kind of go between that time you felt like it was time for me to shift between being that physician to now being an entrepreneur, like full time. Has there ever been a time where you felt like, I'm grinding, but it's really grinding me? Like I'm trying to, and you kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning, with balancing your schedule now. But has there been a specific time where you felt like, shoot, this is really grinding me? Can I continue on? Can I continue to do this?
Yeah, there are times where, the bills be billing
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
and you be like, okay, we didn't have this amount of dancers in here this month. We didn't have this amount of rentals coming here, and so we a little short this month.
Mm-hmm.
So, um those times happen, and as a business owner you can't get away from them unless, just by some freak of nature, you just have billions of dollars and you don't have to worry about the day to day.
Right.
Most people aren't like that. Most people don't have multi-million dollar companies. And
Right.
so at that point, I'm glad that I have a business partner who ran the studio essentially by herself for years. And initially, she was moving to LA and was it was just going to be me running the show, but her as my mentor way in California. And then COVID happened, and she could not get back to LA after we had
Mm-hmm.
done the reopening. Like her
Okay.
flight kept getting canceled, and so once I realized how serious COVID was, I was like, "Girl, you are not going back to LA. You will not go out there and die by yourself, and
That's
nobody
true.
will be able to come and get you." So I
That's true.
said, "You're staying here at
That's good.
least until we figure this thing out, and until we know that COVID is not going to kill everybody."
Right.
And then at one point, probably a year in, she was like, "You know what? I don't need to go back into LA. I need to do what God intended for me to do, which is to bring the entertainment industry to Charlotte."
To Charlotte. Yeah.
So
That's good.
that's what's always been the vision, the mission, and we're still working on it. Charlotte has a little some. There's reality shows popping up left and right,
Yes.
and they shoot some movies somewhere. So we're just hanging in there long enough to be like, yes, it's finally here, and we have some dancers.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Keep going. Keep going. Don't give up.
I feel like this is a question that I feel like people need to ask themselves more, because I feel like we don't realize the lack of support that we had until after we experienced the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, was there ever a time when the support looked like really thin? Like you didn't have a lot of people around you like supporting you and lifting you up. Like when the winds start coming and everything start getting better for you, like was there ever a point where you felt really lonely even in the midst of all that?
Yeah, I mean, even though my business partner was in Charlotte, she actually had taken on a full-time job at Blumenthal, the art theater group that's here in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even though she was always there, I was a franchisee in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, essentially, I'm here to support you, but you got this, you can run it yourself. Let me know when you need me. She would do like the marketing, but for the most part, she was booked and busy at Blumenthal. And so even though she was there, she wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
because she was so busy. And those were the times that, um, even though I knew I had her back, I also knew she was busy. So I
Right.
wasn't going to bother her unless I really, really needed her. And it's not
Okay.
a bother. This is her company. She founded it. It was her baby. But at the same token, she was like, "But I've handed it over to you now, so you're good. Go with it."
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm, the oldest of three and have always been the one to run the show, even when I was struggling, I would not necessarily reach out and be like, "Hey, I need help like now."
Right.
Because back to the other question, you're basically faking it,
Yeah.
even though you need somebody to come save you.
Yeah, it's
You need
true.
somebody to be like, "Hey, I'm not good right now. So like, I need your help." Um, but prayer gets you through.
Yeah.
And at some point, people start to see that you need help. And my team, I have a great team. And the choreographers were always like, "What do you need? We got you." My front desk staff, I have a studio manager. He was like, especially when I was pregnant, because, oh yeah, by the way, I was pregnant twice during all this.
Yep.
That's a whole other story. I'm out being pregnant and, trying to raise some kids, um, while also having a full time job and
Exactly.
owning a dance studio. And at some point, you're just like, I can't do all this. And that's when you learn to rely on the people that are around you. So even
Yeah.
though I was there and they never knew until I was like emotional and, during pregnancy hormones, because I'm an emergency physician. So, I can tell somebody that your family member has died, and then I have to go to the next room and be the
Right.
same loving
Yeah.
provider. Like, you can't have emotion, essentially. We have to
Right.
be robots because we
Yeah.
have to get through the shift. And so, pregnancy took all that away. Like, whatever I was feeling, it was out there.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the people around me were like, but see, this is what we want to see, because we never know this is there because you hide it,
Yeah.
or you're putting on that brave face,
Yep.
and freaking pregnancy emotions and hormones, anything that I was thinking, it slipped out my mouth. Or if there were like tears that were beginning to form, they fell, and I was just like, dog, this is not who I am not a crier.
And that
So
goes
I
back
mean,
to that when we say we talked about this on another episode. You got to check on your strong friends.
Yeah.
It's okay to be vulnerable. And Kelly,
it
ever since
is,
I've
I hate
known you,
it.
you've been that strong sister, that strong friend. Shoot, all of y'all, you, Kim, and Courtney, all of y'all are strong. And sometimes you just got to stop and say, hey, I'm not okay. And it's okay to be
Right.
vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
pregnancy will
is.
take you there, even if you don't want to go there.
I
It'll
did
take
not.
you there.
I literally could not contain my emotion. I was crying left and right, and I was like, guys, I don't want you to see me crying. Like, just stop me.
And then get
But
the
they
ugly
loved it
cry.
because they got to see that
Mm-hmm.
I am real, and that I am not this superwoman, this mutant that I say that I
Right.
am. I am not an X-Man, even though I have given myself a Nikki Storm X-Man name. Nikki
You do
Storm, that's
that.
my performance
You work in a
personality.
tough field, so I understand why you do that. Like, I don't think I can
Hmm.
work in ER. God bless y'all in medical field. Blood, all that germs. That's not me. Not touching nobody. Not
I
touching.
love it.
Y'all can
And there's
have
some
that.
gross people in the emergency department too.
Yes.
Y'all can have all of that. So I'm gonna keep moving on. We have a plethora of people listening in, watching in. For those women that are listening in, what advice would you give them, when they have talent and a vision, to start a business, a company, but the bank account is giving bounce, okay? Bank account is giving bounce. What advice would you give them, if they have vision or just, a talent that they want to kind of pursue?
Um, so I looked up into mine.
Okay.
Dance has always been a passion, and it was nothing I ever intended to do as a profession. And so that was the way me and my business partner came together, was a whole act of God. Um, so I will say first, multiple things. One is pray on it,
Of course.
because even though he says move, you have to know when it's time to move.
Yep.
So in my instance, I had to move then just because my business partner was essentially leaving,
Right.
and the studio was closed,
Mm-hmm.
like it was over. And then I heard the Lord say, reach out to her and ask her about reopening the studio or franchising her brand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a whole other story. But so, pray about it first, because you need to know when to move, and even if you're supposed to move, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what you're feeling may not be
God
what you
telling you
think
to move.
you need to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It might not be the plan. Um, Two, you can't do it alone. You have to have either some support or a mentor or something. My business partner, like, basically downloaded multiple years of her business in like a few months, because she
Okay.
was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like October, November, she was gone. Now, granted, she was still, a phone call away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if it wasn't because of her, we would have failed, and we would have been shut down like any other service-based organization
Mm-hmm.
that did not have the money. And the money,
That's the key thing.
figure it out,
Yep.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I had a whole daytime job, physician, and you know you say doctor, people are giving you money. They don't care what it's for because they know
Yes.
you can pay it back at some point because you're a doctor.
Right.
So you got to figure out what's going to be your move because you are going to have. The funny thing is we had to make so many different modifications to the building that we had moved to. So what we thought was going to be a $20,000 venture ended up being $100,000 venture.
Ooh.
And
That's a lot
during
of money.
COVID,
Yeah.
a lot of money. During COVID, when we couldn't open for 6 months. So if I did not have the physician title and the physician loans, we would have shut down even before we got started. So um, you gotta know where you're gonna get your finances from, and what do you do when the well is running dry?
Yeah.
So that's a lot, but that's those three things.
Okay.
I like that you kind of spoke about, some of the things, some of your experiences. Like, is there anything on your journey that you feel like you wouldn't have done? Like, like, I'm never going to do this ever again. Because I feel like we don't think about that until we're further, like, in our
journey,
career. Yeah. Because I feel like it's somebody out there who can really, like, who needs this, who needs to hear it. Because, like, when you're starting out, there's a lot of things that you don't think about. There's a lot of things that you experience that I'm sure if they had someone to tell them, like, don't do this, they would have done it.
I'm gonna flip back to the doctor. It's funny because it's like, there's 5 different personalities in me, and so sometimes I'm just like, which person do you need right now?
Yeah.
But so as a physician, I mentor other young people wanting to go into medicine, and so my advice to them is when you burn out, because you will burn out, and you may burn out way earlier than you think you will. What is your backup plan? And you're like, it doesn't make sense to have a backup plan to being a medical provider because that's a career. But these days, the way medicine is and the way that medicine is now a business and not about patient care, everyone is flaming out quickly. Hence the reason I quit medicine, because I was like, this ain't it. We ain't doing this never again. And then had to jump back in just because, once the world opened up and Beyonce was going on tour and Usher was out in Vegas and people were going to islands, I was like, oh, I need some money. Hence the reason I went back. But we gonna jump back out of medicine again, just because my passion is in dance now. But what is your exit strategy?
Right.
You need to have an exit strategy even when you are just starting.
Yeah.
Because what if you don't like what you're doing? Then what do you do?
Yeah.
So that's been my advice, especially for people going into medicine, because medicine is toxic, is hard, is unforgiving, and the days of retiring as a physician at 70, 65 or whatever, it's not happening as frequently anymore.
Yeah.
And people are leaving at the age of 40 and 45
Yes.
because they're like, this too much.
Yeah.
I think that's in corporate
Belgium.
America too, though. I
Look,
don't think people stand that long. So I see more and more
the-
people retiring like 50, 55 because they like, okay, I can
Yeah.
do something else.
Yeah, because I mean, the good thing about being your own boss is anybody telling you what to do,
That's true.
and a lot of times you just want to be like, I don't want to listen to what you got to say. I don't want to do what you're telling me to do because it's stupid. So
Right. In my head,
when
it's
you own the
stupid. It
business,
don't make sense. Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
I'm just like, when you own the business, you're just talking to yourself and be like, girl, you stupid. Like,
Well,
either
look,
way.
I got one more question before we get to our little sassy time, or I want to say
Oh
sassy
Lord,
questions.
we haven't
But
already had
one
that.
more question before we get into that is, you mentioned that you are now mentoring other people coming into the physician world, but also we talk about encouraging and empowering. What is your best girl don't give up yet speech without sounding like a motivational speaker?
So what I do is I bring out the best in people. So whatever I see in somebody, I try to make them see that. And I like to highlight what they're doing well.
That's good.
And so like it's just one of those things like and you do it just kind of on the slide. Like yeah, girl, you are really good at dealing with difficult patients. And I just want to thank you because you are able to speak into somebody that I want to slap. That's a gift.
She said slap.
It be like
No,
that.
literally be wanting to punch them in the throat. THOAT. Forget the R. I'm gonna smack the R out of them. Yeah. And so whatever little characteristic I see in people that's amazing, I just let them know, like, hey, that was amazing. So I just kind of say stuff on the slide and just allow people to see themselves in a light that they may not even know they're in.
Okay. All right. I think that was good.
That was
So I think we make sure I'm gonna start pointing out, Joy, I like the way, you know what I'm saying? I like your outfit today.
Thank you. Thank you. I like your shirt.
Right?
Thank
It's the
you.
little things.
It's
Because
it
you
is
know
it,
what? Even something that simple, somebody may be having the crappiest of days
That's
and they
true.
may be faking it till they make it that day. And just saying one positive thing may be all they needed
shift
to
the
just
whole. Yep.
be like, I'm gonna be all right.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody sees me.
Yep.
Sometimes people just need to be seen
That's
Yes.
true.
and
Yes.
recognized. And we don't do enough of that for each other because it's always grind and it's just somebody's on you trying to just make it to the end of the day. Say something positive to somebody. And because I'm in or used to be in emergency medicine and actually dealt with homicidal and suicidal people, you never know
What they're
that
going.
one thing that will wake somebody up. Or I'll even say it in a positive note. One of my most successful and first mentees, um, she said, I asked her one day, because she worked as a scribe in the emergency department, and they do our charts for us. They're typically like college age or whatever. And I said, what do you want to do with your life? And she said, well, I'm thinking about being a physician assistant. And I said, well, why would you be a physician assistant and not a physician? You're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to get paid half as much. Like, know your worth. And she was like, never really thought about it. So, long story short, I found out that this girl had flunked ninth grade at one point. She caught back up and graduated on time. But then when I met her, she was at Central Piedmont Community College, and she's told this story before, so I'm not blowing up her bubble. Everyone knows this story that knows her. But she had like a 2.4 GPA. I I was talking about A&T all the time because that's what we do. We're brainwashed, and we like everyone to know that our school is the best ever.
Yes.
And so
I
she
get
was
proud.
like, Dr. Hall, I've heard you talk about A&T all the time and you love it. And she's like, I've been told not to go to A&T. And I was like, who would say such a thing? Like, who are these people? And I said, have they ever gone to A&T? And she's like, actually, no. I said, exactly. You have a whole doctor in front of
Right.
you. And I had a ball and I'm successful. Like, what do you mean? And so she took a tour A&T, liked it, applied, got in the fall. She went and she ended up graduating with honors, 3.9
That's good.
GPA,
That's good.
and is in her last year of her OBGYN residency. And this girl went from ninth grade flunking to graduating with honors and now an OBGYN about to graduate from her residency. All
That's
because
dope.
I said, what do you want to do with your life?
That's good.
You never know how a simple sentence can change someone's life.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I think that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
You just never know what you're gonna impact them with. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna jump into our next section. So the way our hot seat questions go, we're gonna read the question. You say the first thing that come to mind.
Oh, Lord, that's bad.
All right, we're gonna get started. You ready?
Yes.
First crush ever. Who was it, and did you know you liked them? Whether it was someone at school or actual professional.
Robert Kirk in preschool.
Preschool.
Yeah, crazy.
Did he know?
Yeah, because we actually were boyfriend and girlfriend by the time we got to kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
I move fast. I know
Okay,
what I
no
want and I
problem.
get it.
Have you ever sent a text you immediately regretted? Don't lie.
I'm pretty sure that I have. I can't think of one right offhand,
Hmm.
but everyone does something and it's like, oh, I wish I could take it back.
Yeah.
And
I've
you
done that.
know,
Yeah.
I don't have an exact example right now, but there's been plenty of times I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Okay. Next question. Single, boot up, or it's complicated? Be real. Give us all the tea.
With my relationship now,
Yeah, you better say you married now. That was the first thing that
I
come
know
your way.
it's like I'm married, so
Just to
I'm
make
way
sure.
booed up. I'm like, clang clang, hear the ring,
Yes.
got two babies. We've been together since 2006, got married in 2012, and we're still here to tell the story. And we are Sarah and Abraham having kids in our
She
40s.
said Sarah
Who
Abraham.
does that?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, she old. Okay, the
What's
uterus was like old.
you so silly? What's one red flag in a friend that you ignored for way too long?
Hmm. That um they took more than they gave.
Okay. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah,
Genuine
that was
friendships,
good.
genuine relationships.
That's
Yep.
good. Next question. What's one red flag?
I just
Oh, sorry. Have you ever been the toxic one in a relationship or friendship? Be honest. This is a good question, actually.
The toxic one?
Yeah.
No. Because I'm the person that edifies. That's kind of like my gift, my
mm-hmm.
God gift, is to always motivate and edify and give your everything. And I also don't have many close friends, or
Yeah.
like I don't have a lot of like tight relationships,
Mm-hmm.
like because um because other people can be toxic.
Yes.
And because I give my all, I don't put myself out there to many people because they can take advantage of that.
I agree. That's a good one for the next question. How do you cut somebody off? Cold turkey or slow
Oh
fade?
no, it's typically cold turkey. Like, because I'm not like one of those. I'm a black or white person.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
rarely any gray. And if you and I haven't cut many people off at all,
Mm-hmm.
but hardly nobody really. But when I am fed up with you or done with you, like literally, you could. That's horrible. Don't say that. You could die.
Ooh.
And if I was done with you, I mean, you didn't exist anymore. Like, I'm not going to your funeral. I'm not sending any flowers. And
That's
that's just
fair.
the emergency physician, the morbid person in me. See, that's why I said the first thing that comes out of my on my mind, that you probably don't want to hear that sometimes,
That's how
because
you are. Don't
Yeah.
change who you are. That's true. That's true.
Okay. Next question. Have you ever dated someone who was intimidated by your success?
all the time. I mean, that's just when you are all the things, you can't get away from it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
And a lot of times, especially the male ego, it's
Mm-hmm.
fragile. And
Yeah.
so when you are used to running things and you are making more money, it's difficult for some people to deal with that. And because of the kind of person that I am, and because I've been a boss since day one,
Yeah.
that's what you're coming into. And I know
Understandable.
I'm the boss. Now, I will say, because I am a Christian, and as a Christian woman, we are supposed to be submissive. And my husband already knows this. I tell him all the time, yes, sir, you are the head, but I am the neck, and we're moving.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what you're supposed to do. We working together. We working together.
Yeah, yeah. You be the head, but I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna take that home to my
Don't
husband. Tell
get in
him
trouble
that.
now.
Write
Don't
it
get
down.
in
Write it down.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite or biggest love language, and what is your pettiest love language?
Um, so my love language is acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I mean, I can buy what I want nine
Mm-hmm.
times out of ten. So it's like, and as a matter of fact, me and my husband, we don't even hardly like give Christmas gifts anymore because I'm just like, you get what you want, I'm gonna get what I want, and let's
Yeah.
just be happy.
Right.
Like, because at this point, it's just like, just give me the money and I'll go get it myself. Um, so I prefer when you do things for me that
Mm-hmm.
I want done,
Understandable.
which is also petty. So it's the answer to both questions. Because I'd be like, I don't want your money. Oh no, I want your money,
Right.
but I'd rather you do what I asked you to do.
No,
So
that's
it's
fair.
petty.
That could be petty, but if it works for you, it works for you. Look, it worked for your marriage. We're not questioning it.
Right.
What you got, Joy?
So, have you ever stayed friends with someone just because of the history, not because they were still good for you?
I said,
No,
yeah, I'm about to say she could be.
I haven't
Yeah.
because I mean, once again, it goes back to I don't really have. So
Close
when I
friends.
call you like a friend, I guess I'm thinking more of like my close friends because I have a
Yeah.
bunch of friends,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in sororities and band and all that,
Right.
and all of these people are still in my life. Like there's not many people that have dropped off in my life. If you're in my
Mm-hmm.
life and you don't piss me off, you're in my life. I'm taking you with
Mm-hmm.
me.
Got you.
Um, so yeah, I can't really say that I've gotten rid of people or whatever. And but once again, I don't allow people to get that close.
Close.
So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of friends,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's like three ride or dies.
I got you. That's all you
Yeah.
need.
That's good.
All right, last one. Finish this sentence. The old
Mm-mm.
me would have, but the healed me now.
The old me would have continued to live a life where I was doing what seemed right to everyone else,
Mm,
but um, I decided to follow my dreams. So, and I say that I forgot what the rest of the sentence
it
was
was
because I
if
was
the
trying to figure
healed
out
you,
the
what
first
would you
part.
do now? Right. What would you do now?
The healed me probably would have stopped being a doctor way earlier,
Mm,
which I came back to it. But I that was more because I think God said I didn't tell you to leave yet.
mm,
Yeah.
Like you got more work to do as a
yeah.
doctor. I should have probably bowed out a little bit earlier just so I could heal myself sooner.
Yeah.
Um, but I got there. And then I was able to come back with a different perspective. And then when I decide to leave again, I will leave whole and complete
Mm,
and satisfied,
yeah.
not bitter, angry.
That's fair. I'm gonna be whole. Every decision I make moving forward, I'll make sure I'm whole. My family's whole. I'm gonna just make sure that I'm listening, because sometimes we feel like we supposed to move, and then you
Yeah.
second guess that, like you said, and it's not what
He
you're
gonna
supposed to
take
be
you
doing.
back. He
Yeah,
ain't say
he'll
you to
take you
leave yet.
back. He'll take you all the way back. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
will say this: when I did shift from my company of being there for 14 years, and then I went to my second company, it was in the middle of COVID, and I was like, "Am I supposed to be leaving?" But the move was so sweatless; like everything happened in order, like it was supposed to, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm at the right place at the right
Yeah.
time." It happened so easy. Now, before that, 2 years prior to that, before COVID, I was like, "I'm leaving. I can't do this." Interviewed for a couple jobs, and then got to the last interview, and then they wanted to cut me 30,000. I said, "No, I ain't supposed to move. Let me sit down where I'm at. God just bringing me back." So I was like, "Let me sit and wait." And then once I got to COVID, that 30,000 they was taken away. That 30,000 got added once I moved. So I was like, "See, God know what He was doing." I thought I was ready because I was listening to other people,
Yeah.
and it wasn't time for me to
Mm-hmm.
move. So I understand that. Ooh, child, that was
I'm
good.
glad I did move. I'm glad I did move, but I probably should have moved in a different way. Like it was
Okay.
time for me to bounce out for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but I left real petty.
Yeah, you can't leave petty. You can't leave petty because God will get you and
I
bring
didn't
you
do
back.
nothing like to burn any bridges, but I did leave out of anger.
Yeah.
That emotional decision. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that.
Hmm.
Well, you know what? Woo, that was something. I listen, if you didn't feel or seen or heard or feel all that in your spirit in this conversation, I need you to
Where
go back
were
and
you?
press replay.
Yes.
Because that was some good information. Dr. Kelley reminded us of the purpose doesn't always look perfect, but it always leads you to where you are supposed to be. From like her, the scrubs to the stethoscope to the stage lights, hopefully in the future. She's a living proof that you don't have to shrink to fit into any room.
Yeah.
You can be bold, brilliant, and beautifully flawed and still rise. So to every woman listening, you're not behind. You're not too late. Your rhythm is your rhythm. Your beat is your beat, and your divine beat, which is right on time. So until next time, keep walking in your truth. Keep chasing that purpose. And as always, blaze your trail. I am your co-host, Dr. Mia, with
Ania Joy.
Until next time, have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
All the girls of me likes. Look at her. She's a bad man. She's a bad man. Just as fine as she.